They thought the forest had taken their son forever, until a silent German shepherd appeared at their window, staring at them with an intelligence too human to ignore. What it led them toward wasn't just the truth about Tommyette, was a secret buried for 50 years, waiting for the right family to uncover it. I share new stories here every day, and I would really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and liked my video. Now let's jump back into my story. I sure you love it. You keep listening till the end. 3 days after little Tommy Mitchell vanished into the Cascade Wilderness, Sarah and Michael sat in their dim kitchen surrounded by untouched coffee mugs, maps, search flyers, and the suffocating silence that comes when hope begins to crack. Every night since their son disappeared, Sarah had replayed that moment, Tommy bouncing a basketball in the yard, the back gate open, and then nothing. Only small footprints leading toward the forest, then fading into the moss like the child had simply dissolved into the trees. "They're scaling back the search tomorrow," Michael murmured, rubbing his temples. His voice was thin, exhausted from shouting Tommy's name into an unanswering wilderness. Sarah's fingers shook around her mug. "He's out there," she whispered. "I feel it." A sudden bark shattered the stillness. Both parents jumped. At their window stood a German shepherd, tall, alert, its amber eyes locked directly onto theirs. It didn't bare its teeth. It didn't growl. It simply stared, as if waiting for them to understand something it couldn't say. Then, deliberately, it barked again, 3 sharp, urgent barks. Sarah and Michael exchanged a glance. The dog turned, trotted toward the tree line, then stopped and looked back at them with unnatural focus. A silent invitation. A plea. A command. "Michael," Sarah breathed. "It wants us to follow." The next morning, it returned, same window, same unwavering gaze. Sarah grabbed her phone, filming as the shepherd barked once, then trotted toward the forest exactly as it had the day before, pausing and glancing back with a precision too meaningful to ignore. "We're going after it," Sarah said. Michael hesitated, but what parent ignores a sign when the world refuses to give them answers? They followed. The German shepherd moved like a trained guide, stopping whenever they lagged, monitoring them constantly. It led them through tight groves of towering pines, across shallow creeks where water sparkled between stones, up fern-covered ridges slick with morning dew. Michael marked trees with orange tape so they wouldn't lose their way back. An hour into the journey, the dog stopped at the doorway of an old, crumbling cabin half swallowed by moss and wild vines. Inside, dust-blanketed, broken furniture. The fireplace was cold, filled with leaves. But on the floor, impossible to miss, lay a red knit cap. Tommy's favorite. Sarah grabbed it, pressing it to her face, inhaling his scent mixed faintly with forest pine. Tears splashed the brim. Michael searched the cabin and found something else. A faded black-and-white photograph of a stern-faced man standing in front of this very cabin in the 1940s. The resemblance to Sarah was unmistakable. "Theodore Harrison," she whispered. "Her great-great-great-uncle. A man rumored to have vanished in these same woods." Before they could process the connection, the German shepherd quietly slipped away, disappearing into the trees as if its job for now was done. Sarah and Michael sprinted back through the forest, following their marked trail. Sheriff Patterson was skeptical, but when deputies visited the cabin, they confirmed everything. Tommy's cap, fresh footprints, and a recently discarded granola bar wrapper. Someone had been with their son. Someone alive. Someone watching. That evening, the dog returned urgent, pacing, restless, demanding that they follow once more. And this time, what waited in the forest wasn't just a clue, it was the truth. Asterisk, flashlights sliced through the darkness as Sarah and Michael followed the German shepherd deeper into the forest. This time, the dog did not pause to check on them. It moved with urgency, its silhouette weaving through ferns and shadows like an animal carrying out a sworn duty. Sarah's heartbeat thundered in her ears. She clutched the red-knit cap against her chest, praying she wasn't too late. The trees thickened as they climbed, ancient cedars forming a cathedral-like canopy overhead. Then, without warning, the dog stopped. Ahead, the darkness opened into a circular clearing illuminated by warm, flickering firelight. A hidden camp tent, wooden crates, and a stone fire pit glowing softly sat tucked between the roots of colossal trees. A figure stepped forward, tall, tearded, steady-eyed. Something in his face made Sarah's breath catch. "You're Sarah Brennan Mitchell," he said, voice firm but gentle. Michael tightened his grip on the flashlight. "Who are you?" The man lifted a lantern, its light-revealing features startlingly similar to Sarah's own family-line sharp jaw, deep-set eyes. The forest-worn look of someone who belonged here. "My name is David Harrison." Sarah froze. "Harrison, like Theodore Harrison, my uncle who disappeared in 1952. David nodded. "My grandfather." Before Sarah could speak, another figure emerged, this time a teenage girl with braids and soot-smudged cheeks. She stepped forward holding a blanket and wrapped in that blanket was Tommy. Sarah fell to her knees, choking on a sob. She stretched her arms out, and Rebecca, David's daughter, gently placed Tommy into them. "He's okay," Rebecca whispered. "We found him by Miller's Creek 4 days ago. He was hurt, weak, but alive." The German Shepherd, their silent guide, stood proudly behind Tommy. Tail wagging softly, Tommy opened his eyes and managed a tiny smile. "Mom, the dog saved me." Sarah crushed him against her chest, tears streaming into his hair. Michael wrapped his arms around them both, trembling with relief. Rebecca knelt beside them. "We didn't bring him back right away because his fever was high. The camp was safer. We had medicine, supplies, and the forest dogs. They protect us." Sarah looked up, still holding Tommy. "Who are you people? Why hide here?" David exhaled slowly, so releasing decades of guarded truth. "We're the last branch of the Harrison line who never left the forest. My grandfather, Theodore, discovered a sacred bond between our family and the guardians of these woods of dogs. When he vanished in 1952, he didn't disappear. He stayed, protecting the wildlife and many lost souls over the years." Michael's eyes widened. "Lost souls? Like our son?" David nodded. "This wilderness is vast and unforgiving. But with the dogs, we can sense danger long before humans can. When Tommy wandered too far, the pack found him before the coyotes did. We kept him alive," Rebecca continued softly, "but you must promise to keep our existence secret. People wouldn't understand our way of life, and the forest needs to stay protected." Sarah didn't hesitate. "You saved our son. We owe you everything." David smiled faintly and handed her a smooth stone engraved with a cedar leaf. "Leave this at Theodore's old cabin when you can. It tells us you understand, and that you respect our world." The journey back was silent except for the rhythmic sound of footsteps and the soft, panting of the German Shepherd walking beside them. When they reached the edge of their property, the dog stopped. It looked at Tommy with a wise, knowing gaze, then vanished into the shadowed trees as quietly as it had first appeared. Days passed. Tommy healed quickly, but something in him had changed. He watched the forest with new curiosity, new respect, as if hearing whispers, the rest of them COULDN single quotes. One evening, Sarah stepped onto the porch and froze. A young German Shepherd's Mahler, curious, cautious, stood at the edge of the yard, watching Tommy play, not their original guide. A new guardian. Sarah felt warmth bloom in her chest. Family? She realized, didn't always come from blood. Sometimes it came from the wild, from old secrets, from animals that saw more inside humans than humans ever saw in them. And sometimes, you had to get lost to finally discover where you truly belonged. Asterisk, thanks for watching till end. Please like and subscribe my channel. I will be very thankful to you.